It's exactly 14 hours now. We are resuming our inquiry with members fielding the questions to Mr. Baldwin. Are you there? Are you there, Baldwin, Mr. Nejosi?
Thank you, Chairperson, and yes.
Thank you very much. I now recognize Honorable Gondwe with her brief interactions.
Chairperson. My apologies, Chair. I'm just trying to get to my questions. Voinashund, how are you?
I'm okay, and you?
Voinashund, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Yes. In paragraph 20 of your affidavit, you state that subsequent to the incident pertaining to the documentation that was delivered by the presidency, you received a call from Mr. Arthur Fraser, who informed you that you were failing in your duty to support the public protector. Did the call from DG Fraser take you by surprise? I know you said when Honorable Dlagute asked you about how you felt about the call, you said it made you feel bad. But I want to find out whether you were taken aback by the call, were you surprised by the call, and whether you did not view the call from Mr. Fraser as a form of interference in relation to your duties as senior manager responsible for security in the Office of the Public Protector, more so given that you were not reporting to Mr. Fraser.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Through you, Chair. When I received the call, I did not think that it is unusual. As the head of state security, one would think that perhaps there could be other developments that may affect the institution where I was working, and hence it did not surprise me.
You received this call. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, I didn't.
Did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Neshunji.
I was not taken aback by the call. I thought perhaps he was, he needed to alert me about any development that could affect the institution that I was working at. I found it, let me say I welcome it because I did not know the purpose. But being the head of the state security, I thought perhaps there could be some developments that I should know so that I beef up security at PPSA. Thank you.
Okay, so you were not surprised because you thought that maybe, he was trying to make you aware of some security developments. So I want to find out whether, you regularly received calls from Mr. Fraser in terms of, him advising you or trying to appraise you about any security concerns within the Office of the Public Protector.
Not necessarily. Because my principal, who is a public protector, there could be threats that he may needed to talk to me so that I become aware of that and I action it from my side. I did not think that his call will relate to the operations, but perhaps at strategic level to say either your principal is under threat or you need to do certain things to protect the incumbent. Thank you.
No Leboha. Please confirm how often Mr. Moodley, Mr. Ramu Balana, and other officials of the State Security Agency paid visit to the Office of the Public Protector. And in your opinion, did the Public Protector maintain close ties and relations with the SSA? And when officials of the SSA paid a visit to the office, what exactly would they be doing whilst they're there?
I'm not so sure about the frequency of their visits because I didn't see them frequenting, and I was not informed if they usually meet the PP. However, some may come to to alert me about certain developments which needs to be taken into consideration, or where the visits that I can point out will be regarding the assistance from State Security with regard to that case management system, and perhaps auditing of our ICT environment, because that was paramount given the fact that our infrastructure was aging, and we would require audits of our IT system from time to time, and the best possible people that will do that will be the experts from the intelligence. Thank you.
You forgot to answer the question where I asked if, in your opinion, did the Public Protector maintain close ties and relations with the SSA? And while you're responding to that question, can you try and estimate, like on average in a year, how many times they would actually visit your offices?
It could be twice per year. They will visit the office for various reasons, for training awareness around various legislation, I did not observe the strong ties with the state security. If any state security would want to come, any personnel, she will normally direct them to me as the head of security. But regarding whether she kept the ties with the state security, I've got no comment on that. I did not observe that. Thank you.
Thank you. You also mentioned in the course of your oral evidence that the SSA assisted the Office of the Public Protector with developing a case management system. Were you instructed by the Public Protector to solicit the assistance of the SSA in developing this case management system? Who was expected to maintain the system? And you mentioned an amount of 6 million that was paid in respect of the system. Who was this money paid to? You described the SSA as the custodian of state information. But then my question becomes, is GIS not the custodian of state information? If you could clarify that. And please confirm if Mr. Moodley is an IT expert or an economist by qualification, because at some stage we were told that he's quite knowledgeable in the field of economics.
Can I answer? Basically, perhaps it was not articulated clearly. I did not say that there was 6 million paid. The amount of the money that was available within the ICT budget was meant to develop a system. So there was no money that exchanged hands between PPSA and state security. Indeed, I have indicated that in the thing, because that was my observation and impression that I got. His fundamental understanding of the ITC concepts. The reason why we included case management system, it was not all about case management system. We needed what we call e-cabinet, where when the PPSA sent certain documents, say to defense lawyer or whatever, or that pipeline makes sure that they cannot be hacking or people cannot intercept information. We had predictive analytics that we were developing so that investigators could use this type of information security that's secure to connect with various state agencies like your Home Affairs. If they are conducting investigation, it becomes easier to tap into that predictive analytics. So the CMS, because we needed a base, we needed a platform for we felt that they could help. And according to my knowledge, the information holder or the information for the state, it's managed and protected by state security. Yes, CETA, it's an implementing agent, but in terms of what needs to get into the country or to be sifted, it is in the domain of the state intelligence. Thank you.
Mr. Moodley, is he an IT expert or an economist? Because we heard that he's quite knowledgeable in the field of economics.
He could be. He could be an economist specialist, but my interaction with him demonstrated that the guy is a gem when it comes to IT development systems, what needs to happen for the country and the like in terms of securing information. Thank you.
In paragraph 23 of your affidavit, you state that you were reasonably successful in obtaining the requisite security clearances from the SSA. Can you explain to us by what you mean by that sentence? How were you able to obtain these security clearances, given that you were not employed at the SSA? Please confirm the extent to which you were involved in the security vetting of employees at the Office of the Public Protector. And I want you to just confirm whether, employees within the Office of the Public Protector handle what is categorized as classified information in their day-to-day duties, because we heard from Mr. Debel and Mr. Samuel saying that in their opinion, they don't handle classified information.
Thank you. I hope I will be able to answer all the questions that you have raised. The second part of the question I can answer as follows. I have been in charge of security management at PPSA, and I was exposed to the literature and several research, and I interacted with the industry captains. Therefore, although I'm not talking with authority, but my input regarding security at PPSA is sizable. I would say that for people to say it is not a requisite, yes, I may, and I hear that. But people should just read. A simple reading will help them to understand that it is the drive of the government to ensure that all employees who work in the state, and especially those in critical areas like SEM, finance, are vetted so that state assets are not misdirected or misused, or malfeasance should not take place. So in any position of authority, the state requires that. So in terms of success, why do I say I was successful in obtaining high number of clearance certificates? You know, part of my job was to ensure that we will be developing systems that will protect this. And we need a classification policy. We need classification process of information, which I managed to develop the template, which the executive of various branches are supposed to use. Now, in order to be successful in any business, your interaction with various institutions is paramount. So as I operated within the environment, I managed to solidify the relationship with those managers that will assist me to achieve results at PPSA. So my drive was to say, at least, because for any SMS, for senior management service according to public service and administration, process, they need to have a top clearance, at least top clearance. Not at least, sorry, at most top clearance. So you will then be required as an institution to have all your senior management team to have.
Thank you. You've covered the point, Mr. Neshunzi. That's your last point. You've extended your time.
Last question, Chair.
We have to be very quick.
Okay, to be very quick. Paragraph 24 of your affidavit states that you were suspected to have leaked information about the refusal of Mr. Mahlangu's security clearance. Did the SSA decline or refuse his security clearance? Because he told us that it was not refused, but it was put on hold pending his appeal. You also stated in your evidence in chief that Mr. Mahlangu did not take the refusal of his security clearance well at all. And he even started calling people that he knew at the SSA. Do you know who he called at the SSA? And if he had a working relationship with officials from the SSA?
Thank you, Honorable Gondwe. You packed lots of questions there, and he's struggling to answer packed questions as you do it. Quickly respond, Mr. Neshunzi.
Okay, thank you. The testimony by Mahlangu is correct. It was withheld. Well, they did not give me the certificate. Instead, they issued a letter. And they also indicated that it is being withheld until the finalization of the court process that was undergoing at that time. Unfortunately, the other part of who has he called and what, I will not comment on that. Like I said, it then is, according to me, classified as sensitive information. Thank you.
Thank you. And I recognize Honorable Nola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me start on that point of leakages. It looks like Mr. Nechunzi, there is or there was at a certain period a pandemic of an information being leaked from the Public Protector South Africa. And you are saying in paragraph 5, actually 6.5, part of the responsibilities that you had in the office was to provide information security. Now, I want to check from your experience in that unit. What do you think was the significant cause of many information being leaked? Do you think that it was part of those reasons of information being leaked was the fact that the security unit did not have staff or management that lacked the requisite skills?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Through you, Chair. Indeed, there was a leakage problem. The leakage problem, I wouldn't describe it as caused by lack of knowledge. However, there are barely no systems that ensures that there is a firewall between the institution and those other institutions that the PPSA work with. So, and even the internal systems, few systems that they have for just to maintain the organization going. It's either they were obsolete or they needed to be revamped. There were no sufficient firewalls and, patches. And as such, the leakages were done because a person can wrongly send an email to a wrong person, or people can start communicating and exchange documents. Others are just malafisants as human beings. Thank you.
Okay. In paragraph 11, you accused the Public Protector South Africa of having suspended you, which is the second suspension, without giving you sufficient reasoning for that effect. Do you regard that as a fair labor practice or a just administrative action?
I think the due prescripts and process were not followed to the latter. And as such, I believe I categorize that as an unfair labor practice. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to that there was, which I think Honorable Lagote has made mention of. You in paragraph 14 says there was a subordinate that had to be coerced for them to be registered for this training so that there is a required number that which is required from SSA. I will pose in a different way this question. Because Honorable Lagote said who was coerced and by who was that person coerced. Now, my point would be, is it your evidence that there was no will by the then CEO, Mr. Mahlangu, to assist you in this regard? Hence the use coerced.
Perhaps it is a question of improper application of the word. It could have been persuasiveness. Because what then happened during that time when it was recommended that I should go and attend the security advisor management course, we were busy with the cost containment drive. So that exercise, in a way, made Mahlangu to be reluctant based on the numbers, because any person who attends pays some sizable number of thousands. Perhaps, hence I use the word coerced. I wanted to say I had persuaded him in the very strongest term that he should release the money and allow this guy to go and attend. Thank you.
So the new terminology now is persuaded. not
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much.
No, that's fine. Let's go straight to the call from the one and only Mr. Arthur Fraser. I think honorable members have questioned and they have posed a number of questions with regard to that. But what is not clear from me is this call is related to how you are performing in the Office of the Public Protector by a person who's not part of the organization, who's completely outside this organization, which is the Public Protector South Africa. Was the call in the capacity of him being your friend, or what was happening? I'm trying that you give us a picture of what is happening. That,
All right.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I have indicated that at the level of the executive authority, they can tap into the accounting officers of other organs of state. However, it must be known, it must be made clear that national intelligence has got interest in all organizations in South Africa, especially in the public sector. Even in the interviews of all these security managers that are hired at the state level, there will always be a senior representative from state security to ensure that, their mandate is enforced throughout. So the mere fact that they sit in the interviews for senior security managers, I believe that could have triggered that. But the call, yes, it came from him, perhaps because there's good interest in what could go wrong at PPSA. Thank you.
Thank you. Advocate both reckons that as the team of the public protector, they believe that strongly that in this issue, you are not a relevant witness. And from where I'm seated and from the evidence that you deposed in the affidavit, you do have a labor query with how you were treated in the Public Protector South Africa.
Well, like I said, my understanding is that yes, there was unfair labor practice on me by the institution, which never apologized up to date. Okay. And that has caused immense problem.
I think you have covered it, Mr. Nechunzi.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I don't want you to elaborate much. I'm asking this question because part of the charges that which we are testing its veracity here is the abuse, harassment, and intimidation of staff. That was the reason why I was asking that. My last question would be: do you think that your two purported suspensions were meant to intimidate or harass you? Is that your belief or not?
Well, my view on that is that it could be because of a cavalier nature of individuals who are given authority at that time, where they show lack of proper concern of what are the consequences of suspending a person. So I wouldn't say it further than that to say that I believe that sometimes it depends on who is at the helm, who is the accounting officer? How does he relate to certain things? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The last point will be on the Honorable Mahlaule asked you a question that do you believe that the public protector leaked an information relating to the clearance certificate of the former CEO, Mr. Vusi Mahlangu, which I believe that he was asking that question because in your affidavit, you have said yourself that in matters relating to the clearance certificate of Mr. V. Mahlangu, you, in your recollection, have told the public protector. So I think in my view, that question was not unfair unto you. Is that correct?
I think it was unfair because the public protector is supposed to be custodian of the protection of information as the executive authority. And I could not doubt my viewpoint and assertion that she will not do that because it will put the organization into detrimental position. I hope I have answered. I may not answer the way you want, but I hope I have tried.
No, I think I captured the point. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ngola. Honorable Skosana.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good afternoon to everyone. Ndimasiari Boneshunji.
Ndimasiari Awudi Skosana.
Mr. Neshunji, do you know whether it is standard practice for security personnel to receive training from the SSA?
Yes, it is a standard practice. Depending on the size of organization, they even do the first leg of personal vetting in-house. So there are training models for that, provided that particular organization has got required numbers. There's a certain threshold. I think it should have over 500 or 700. And the one for security advisors course, I find it beneficial because it expands the scope and how you perceive things and eliminate blind spots in executing your mandate. Thank you.
Okay. Is it also standard practice for security personnel to arrange their own training, like in your case?
Yes, you can arrange with the recognized reputable, which is accredited by the controlling regulatory bodies. You could get quotations and forward them to HR for consideration.
Okay. So how much time is the new employee given in order to get the security clearance? And if he or she doesn't get it after the lapse of that period, what happens?
I think without venturing into the processes at state security, there has been a huge backlog. There are requests that come from various parastatal. A typical one is the one at airport when the crime was getting out of hand. The state security had to put ours at the back burner so that they focus on ensuring that airport is cleaned. So the employee will sign that declaration of secrecy, which stays in the file. Should there be any movement or being promoted or whatever, or if the organization feel that the declaration of secrecy should be reinforced, at any time they could demand that people re-sign declaration of secrecy while waiting for the issuance of the clearance certificates.
Okay. Mr. Neshunji, are you a member of the PSA, the union?
I would. Can I be allowed not to answer that? I think I should not venture into constitutional rights of individuals. Thank you.
No, I was asking about yourself.
Indeed, I'm talking about myself. I would not like to respond to that. Thank you.
Okay. My next question is, was it justifiable for the members of the PSA to raise concerns about the fact that Mr. Mahlangu didn't have a security clearance as per paragraph 24? Was it justifiable, given the explanations that you have just given to us, that there are backlogs and what? So was it justifiable for them to raise those concerns?
The issue of security clearance is supposed to be a confidential matter. But the union, given the fact that they've got recognition agreement and collective agreements with the employer, and they can raise any matter that affects their employees. I think on that score, they can raise any matter with the employer. But whether it was appropriate for them to raise the issue of the accounting officer, I would not comment on that, because I do not know whether it is covered by recognition agreement, as I'm not affair with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nah.
I only heard the thanks part. I didn't hear the other part, but I suppose that you're done. Thank you, Honorable Kichimanis Kosana. I now recognize Honorable Kevin Meyerham.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Mr. Nechunzi. Sir, could you tell me, I'm just trying to understand the time periods that you were suspended for, or on garden leave, or whatever, however you want to describe it. Is it correct that it was from 14 January 2018 to approximately July 2018? Is that correct?
It was 14 February, yes, to speaking under correction, to middle of June.
Middle of June.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your affidavit at paragraph 11, it says here, the PP informed me that I should stay at home. Did she do that personally?
Yes, she did that personally, because she was with the acting accounting officer in the office. So perhaps she needed me to understand that I should not come to work during that period of training.
Okay, and did she instruct you to hand over your laptop, your access card, and your keys?
That was said by the acting accounting officer.
Okay. When did you get those items back? Did you get them back when you came back in June, or did you get them back after your training?
No, I got them immediately when I came back.
You got them, sorry, when?
As the day I came back, they were given to me.
Okay. Now, you went on the training, it says it only commenced in July 2018, and I think it ended in December 2018. Is that right?
Correct.
Can you tell me, were any of the following topics covered during that training? Did you receive any training on firearms?
No.
Did you receive any training on counterintelligence?
Yes.
Did you receive any training on the interception of communications?
No, not really. It was just a broader regulatory framework regarding interception of information, but not the tactics and how to go about.
Okay. So you weren't shown how to hack a cell phone or to access someone's emails or anything like that?
No, the training never included that.
Can I ask you, with regard to your training that you went through, what exactly did it have to do with your investigation of the leave system?
I wouldn't say it had anything to do with that in terms of the leakages, but it did contribute to strengthening the objectives that were set for me, because you would do things in different way, perhaps with certain templates that will enhance your execution of the business unit strategy.
Okay, so then you come back from training at the end of December 2018 or in December 2018, and it looks like you then are put on garden leave on the 14th of February 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so now it's very funny. Valentine's Day was a bad day for you in 2018 and 2019. And then you were on garden leave until July 2019. Did you hand over your laptop and keys and access card again?
Correct.
Who instructed you to go on garden leave?
I was given the letter by the CEO, who was my direct supervisor. So he then instructed that I hand over the tools of trade to a particular unit.
Okay, and there was no formal disciplinary process. There was no option for you to provide a reason why you should not be placed on garden leave or anything like that?
There was an attempt to put me on the garden leave much earlier in December. For one reason or another, it could not happen, and because the institution was about to close, going on recession.
So my question to you was, my question was, what did you call me? My name is Mr. Milam.
No, he did not call you. He was completing his...
Okay. So my question was there any attempt to hear why you should not be placed on garden leave?
Yes, I was attempting to answer that, to say that in December, I received a letter signed by the erstwhile CEO requesting reasons why I should not be disciplined. And I provided responses. And those responses led to the internal discussion with the HR structure. Hence, they came up with with the leave, because the preliminary report that I gave did not contain any prima facie or prima facie information that compels them to put a person on leave.
Okay. I now want to turn to the reason why you went to the SSA initially, and that was you were looking to procure a case management system. Is that correct?
Not necessarily procure. We wanted the state security to help our IT to work together to develop a system for our institution.
Okay, so I'm reading in your paragraph 33, it says, I had sought SSA's assistance for the purpose of development of a proper case management system.
Yes. For
Why
the
would you go to
development.
SSA for that?
Why would your question is, why would we?
Why would you go to the SSA for a case management system?
Okay. There has been several institutions that came and provide the elementary concepts or road business, several business cases after being given business requirements. For instance, Accenture. There's another German organization that I forgot, which would have sponsored that development of case management system. But it came to naught because when it came to implementation, I think there was this problem of underfunding where they could not procure that development. So we wanted the state security to develop it at pro bono, not necessarily them developing it. As custodian of the most of the systems, we were in love with systems like the SSA and SARS to say that perhaps we can piggyback on those and customize them, customize the system to fit our course. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't explain why the SSA. I mean, SARS was developed by CETA, Home Affairs, theirs is developed by CETA, various departments, CETA does the development, not the SSA. So I'm not clear why you went to the SSA.
My understanding was that in the first instance, SSA are in a way custodian of information, and they work directly with CETA, and because CETA was aware of our problem, we felt that perhaps going that route, the SSA will point us to the right direction, which system will be suitable for PPSA as partners of the CETA. Thank you.
Okay. Now, as it stands right now, are you aware of that case management system being put in place?
Yes, I'm aware.
Well, has it been put in place?
It has been. It is live from the 1st of August. Our own system, yes.
And who developed that?
I think our IT did that with the assistance of some IT experts from South African Social Security. I think their job was to help us customize the system, but the system is similar to them.
Okay, so not the SSA then. Okay, my last question is, or last two questions, and they're linked. The first is, what protocols are in place in the Public Protector's office? And I'm talking about the broader institution of the Public Protector to handle and store confidential information?
Yeah, I think I would say they've made headways because in the procurement security program that I developed then, we insisted that for us to be able to implement classification of information, we would require lockable cabinets that are still in nature, that can resist fire. Although it is not comprehensive because we would have liked the biometric system to be attached to the filing cabinets of this classified information. I would say in terms of that protocol of ensuring that at head office, the project has been completed and those cabinets are available. I hope with the current arrangement, they will be able to introduce a biometric system so that those that have, to limit accessibility to people that are not authorized. We do have some camera systems, CCTV.
Advocate Mpofu, just pause, Mr. Nashonzi.
So, sorry, Chair, my hand has been up here, but I see you couldn't see it. Yeah, I'm just once again wanting to raise this. What's the relevance of this? Is it necessary now to have to reveal the systems of security at the Public Protector's Office to all who may want to hack those systems? For what? What has that got to do with the motion, honestly?
Now wait. Thank you, Advocate Mpofu. You do have a valid point, and hoping that Mr. Nashunzi and Mr. Mailham, because the intention is not to do that. I hope you get the gist of your question.
Chair, I'm not happy.
It would be good to have a response that says there are these systems that are now existing.
Yeah, Chair.
To go the way he is going, it's a security risk.
Well, Chair, I'm not happy. First of all, this is a committee of Parliament, and we are not bound by any confidentiality obligations here. That's the first thing. The second is that the security and confidentiality of information has been raised on several occasions in this hearing, and the need for the securitization of the Office of the Public Protector. So I'm trying to determine what protocols have been put in place. But to end off, and Advocate Mpofu, if you don't mind.
No, there's a chairperson.
I mind.
You speak through me, Honorable Mailam.
Chairperson, with the greatest of respect,
you can't just interact with somebody else on the platform.
Chairperson, with the greatest of respect to you, Advocate Mpofu has interrupted other people repeatedly. He has not. Chairperson, may I finish?
Yes.
Chair, please take charge of the meeting. Please, Chair. Please, take charge of the meeting. We can't be abused like this. Please now.
Thank you, Honorable Maute.
Chairperson, I will ask whatever questions I desire. I will not be limited in the questions that I ask. I will ask whatever I want that is relevant to my determination of the facts of this matter. And the issue of securitization has been raised. So now I'm trying to determine what protocols were put in place.
Okay.
But I have two last questions.
No, it's not two, it's your last.
Okay.
It's not two.
I am concerned.
And I am going to impose that Mr. Nashunzi has responded to say there's a system in place existing. And I'm not comfortable that he goes into the kind of details he does.
Well, Chair, I've got to stress that
I want you to go to your last question.
I'm going to. I'm busy with it.
Thank you.
I've got to stress that I am extremely concerned by what appears to be only steel filing cabinets to deal with confidential information. But anyway, my last question, Mr. Nashunzi, is this. In your time at the Office of the Public Protector, what or have you handled any classified confidential information? And has the Office of the Public Protector classified any information themselves? Thank you.
Yes, because we've got a policy guideline on the classification of information. So each business unit does that. And at my level, yes, I've handled classified information and I continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mautu.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon to your good self and to Mr. Neshunzi. Mr. Neshunzi, your functions are clearly stipulated on point 6 of your affidavit. I mean, they're detailed enough. Now, according to you, do you think you perform those functions and achieve the required performance levels?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and flowing from point 12 of your affidavit to point 13, you say that you received a letter that said you must go for training, but you must stay at home until the training is completed. You also indicate that you regard that as tantamount to suspension. Is this where your beef with the PP emanates from? And I'm asking this because on point 15 of your affidavit, you say there was a sense of animosity on the part of the PP.
Yes, I think there was a development of that adversarial environment. And I've indicated earlier that perhaps because of the manner in which they perceived that I handled the investigation on the leave management system.
And is that the reason why you are here today in the process of Parliament, hoping that at the end there'll be an impeachment to the PP?
No. It's a big no. I never, by the way, I did not lodge a complaint. Obviously, some of the people that wrote affidavits mentioned my name. And consequently, I had to make an affidavit in preparation of what was raised in other people's affidavit. I wouldn't follow that route. Thank you.
Okay. Is it unreasonable, according to you, Mr. Nachenzi, for the person responsible for security to be the one to account if there's a suspicion of leakages of confidential documents, especially on such high-profile matters such as the cabinet memorandums, which are classified? The office deals with Inspector General reports that are used in the so-called rogue unit that was classified, and some documents used by the police to provide security, which is classified. Don't you think you failed in your work because there was a leakage of information?
I do not think so. Like I said, during my tenure as head of security, I was preoccupied by developing processes and systems that were meant to prevent the leakages. And that's what I did. So I can't say I failed in my endeavor to protect the information at PPSA. The time was cut short and I couldn't complete my exercise. But policies, I have, while revising the old ones, I have developed those. Thank you.
Yeah, but my question is, when there's a leakage, shouldn't you be the first suspect, or shouldn't we look at you as to what happened with the leakage when you were in charge of the systems?
No, the systems are taken care of by the ICT manager, who's the chief information officer. I only compliment their effort in ensuring that there is information security features that are built within their system, which I continually did that. But it will be disingenuous to suggest that when leakage happens, I should be responsible, because information happens between the investigators and those institutions, which I would not know unless if you've got systems that are watertight. Thank you.
I'm not sure if you are saying that if there's a leakage, you must go to IT to look for where the problem came from. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, of course, because they are custodian of the entire IT infrastructure. The security systems, when we were on the verge of developing those security systems that will ensure that it's built on the ICT platforms. But we couldn't finalize that because there was no backbone system, and I did not spend much time at security. But those systems were developed, the concepts were developed, and what was left was the procurement program, which unfortunately, because of budget cuts, could not happen. Thank you.
Okay, I'll pass that one. Thank you very much. Just for clarity, Mr. Nations, did I hear you correctly that Mr. Fraser left SSA in 2018? Because the records that I have, I think they point to 2019. Can you please clarify?
No, I never uttered those words. I did not say that he left state security at what period. I never uttered those words.
Okay. Would you agree that part of your work is to be the ears and eyes in the organization to ensure security measures are adhered to? And if you agree, why would an instance wherein the PP ask you to be ears and eyes be different? Because you are now making it sound like she was saying you must spy on people. Is that what she was asking you to do?
No, I think I've explained that before. I explained what I meant by ears and eye. It never suggested that there's some spying web that should be knitted. It's how the reader interprets. Perhaps we could have put it differently so that it is unambiguous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. That will be all from my side.
Thank you, Honorable Maute. And I recognize Honorable King. Honorable King. Honorable King. Okay, she's not on the platform, but she was noted. There might be a challenge there. We'll come back to her if she does come back. I now recognize Honorable Poisimaneli.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and greetings to Mr. Netunzi.
Good afternoon, Honorable.
Chair, I will start just from a point of firstly confirming with Mr. Neshunzi whether before joining the PPSA, whether he has been exposed or worked directly in an environment where there was security of life, property, and information.
Yes, correct. I had occupied the position of Secretary of Investigation before, and I've been trained by international organizations, especially within postal sector, in ensuring that the mail distribution and the network was safe from thieving and other activities. I also worked and trained as a police officer, and I've worked in that environment of protection of life and of assets. Yeah, I believe I had a considerable, significant experience in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neshunzi. Just taking then that point further, because you've raised this point when you were dealing with the letter that takes you to training, that the recall part of it would not recognize that you applied just like any other South African from all walks of life and responded to the advert. Isn't it? That's what you were trying to clarify by making that point?
Yes, I would not have applied for the position if I thought I would be, I did not have the bare minimum requirements for the position. Hence, I indicated that it was preposterous to suggest that I needed those basic training, which I already done at a very high level, at international level with other countries. Thank you.
Yes, you've covered point one of the next question I needed to ask, because reading the letter, it does give that impression from somebody who read both the advert and what is in the letter that takes you to training. So you've answered that part about basic. In your view, would that mean no confidence on the investigation you did, or you would regard this referral more as a correction, having accepted that you may have done that investigation better than you did?
I would argue that I followed due process of investigating internal breach of security. And I even recommended system forensic auditing in 3 instances, which will have cost a sizable amount of money, because the system forensic auditing will have at least track and trace any movement or any outbound information and inside information, or if other people within the system could have used other people's emails or laptop just to disguise or to create alibi. So I should think that the issue of training, perhaps it was to complement what I already have, which I welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. As I proceed then on this question, again, it's really a point of trying to confirm that coming back, getting moved, is the reason that says your skills are better off in CSM as opposed to where you were. Would you say that's justifiable and hence you didn't contest it?
I would say it is justifiable in the sense that indeed I knew that there was a problem at CSM, especially because it was so important part of business where if the intake is incorrect and the processes of assessment is not done properly, we will sit up with a lot of litigation because people failed to adhere to processes or systems, and those systems have to be put in place to ensure that when assessments are done, they are done according to the service standards and according to the rules of assessment. So I did not take it as with a pinch salt, because I felt that perhaps I will be able to apply my previous skills I will be able to apply my skills and knowledge that I acquired in the past.
And just to confirm that you are then saying that indeed from where you are, there's never been a situation where you are coerced or harassed in you to accept this other position other than the one you as a South African, you would have responded to in the initial stage, which is security management.
Yes. You know, once you get into the institution and you will perhaps want to move to the other units where you believe that your value will be much appreciated and added. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe just Chair, my last two questions. The first one, just to go back on the call from the then DG Arthur Fraser from State Security Agency. I think that I didn't get well. I'm not sure, Chair, if it was connectivity problem, because I think the point we're trying to get from there, it's whether you saw it odd that the DG would be engaging you on an operational matter in terms of your function, which the PP could raise directly with you, having explained the dotted line to the committee this morning on how you link to the PP's office directly, other than your immediate supervisor, the CEO.
Yes, I didn't feel it odd because, like I said, a public protector is an executive authority. And Arthur Fraser was in charge of the national intelligence of the country. So when he called me, I was not surprised because I thought perhaps there are issues of counterintelligence that he wanted to alert me about so that we are ready as an institution. Because foreign agencies, if they want to weaken the country, they attack institutions that they believe are powerful or institutions where there's a lot of information. So I did not feel it odd. I thought he was just performing his function. Of course, when he told me that I was not providing sufficient support to the PP, that's when I got concerned because I did not know in which way I was not providing that support. Thank you.
Did you then believe that all other events, including being told directly to go home, that they would not have been linked to any level of trust in your ability to really do what is necessary to ensure protection in the PP's office? Thank you, Chair.
Like I indicated, as I explained earlier, the PP is a hard taskmaster, hands-on person who is results-driven. So I wouldn't think that she considered incompetence of me performing in those positions. There could be other reasons that perhaps she did not disclose to me, but I don't think she doubted my capacity to perform at that level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you. I now recognize Honorable Suela.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks to my brother Baldwin Minjani Buti.
Nifukile minjani.
Nifukile nlibushi mina. Se abashibu yawudi zwavudi sivenda nyana leshi. But happy to see you. Chairperson, let me also acknowledge Advocate Mpofu and his team, as well as my colleagues and yourself as our chair. Chair, many questions have been asked, but I think I have got one question which I want to get from our brother here under paragraph 12, where the issue of informing him to go home, to go and stay home. I just want to check whether you did inquire from her the reasons for this. If not, why didn't you ask those reasons? Because my understanding is that the position you're holding there is a critical position, as mentioned that you were the eye and ears of the public protector. So, and then the second one is from your good self to advise us as the committee. Do you think the PTT failed to appreciate the consequences of her conduct by involving the SSA, particularly Arthur Fraser, in operational issues at the Office of the Public Protector? These are the two issues which I would like to pose, but others I think I'm covered, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Swela. Mr. Nashunzi.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first one relates to whether I failed to request reasons for being given leave to go and stay home. I did raise it there and there, and I even recall my words to the PP and the acting CEO that, are you guys serious about what you are doing? Why will you do something like this? Can you give me reasons, compelling reason why I should go and stay home? And the response was that we want you to go and undertake the training that we'll be arranging. And after that is then that you will come back. And obviously, my training will not allow to really have an argument with the seniors. Thank you. And then the second part, I do not want to pass an opinion on that. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to pass an opinion on that. I wouldn't know. Allow me not to respond to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I now recognize Honorable Bekiz Wengos.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Mr. Neshunzi.
Good afternoon, Honorable Member.
Yeah, just to clarify a few things. Firstly, in paragraph 4 of your affidavit, you use the word who had to be coerced to allow one of the subordinates, but in your responses to one of my colleagues, you said you meant persuaded. The two are completely different and at the opposite end of each other. What do you mean? What is your last one?
It was a relentless persuasiveness that happened, providing much clear details why the training has to happen, as initiated by the institution and not by me. That's what I wanted to bring across.
Was it coerced? Was it coerced or persuasion?
Let us, for the purpose of this exercise, use the latter, which is strong persuasiveness.
Okay, thank you. Estimates of security and the report thereof, where do you report? Do you report to the, what do they cover the entire institution, the office of the PP herself? And where do you report this?
I did not get the first part of the question.
I mean,
you will remind to repeat.
Your security estimates of the institution, of the office, of the PPSA. What do they cover? Do they cover the office of the public protector, meaning the office, the person, or the entire institution? And where do you report this?
The security estimates, do you mean in terms of security management? Yeah. It is not very clear.
As a chief security manager in the office, so clearly you do an environmental scan.
It's like your crime intelligence who do whatever they have to do. And yes, we have done. I have traveled to all those offices to conduct those assessments, and our security program was informed by the outcome of those assessments. Thank you.
And where do you report them? Where do you report? Where do the reports go?
Oh, the report goes to both the security committee that was established, the CEO, accounting officer, and the executive authority, which was a public protector.
Thank you. Before the appointment of the current PP South Africa, did you interact with SSA, Director General, or any of the subordinates, and did you have to report to them? In other words, did you receive a call from the DG before Mr. Arthur Fraser?
No, the PP rejoined the institution as a PP in October 2016. I only joined in 2017. So I wouldn't know, but inherently, I think they had interacted with the state institution.
Do you know that?
Because I could see from the applications and other things that the institution wanted to be helped by state security. Inherently, they would have done so.
Thank you. If you look at your affidavit, I won't go through all the paragraphs, but paragraph 19 and 20 seem to be a culmination of your explanation of a particular situation, because you then say in paragraph 19, there was an expectation that I would be the PP's eyes and ears. And then in the next paragraph, you then say, I subsequently received a telephone call from Mr. Arthur Fraser. Was it subsequent to what? Subsequent to you being expected and you not knowing that the PP took your advice to go office by office, subsequent to what?
I think this was subsequent to, it is how it was put together, this thing. But remember, as you relate a narrative, somebody is taking notes down. You only verify and confirm the contents. Subsequently to the second incident, which was the leak of the documents from the president, which turned out to be not leaked, but taken to media by the presidency, but did not leak from within. That's what it meant. That's paragraph 20.
Okay, thanks. There is a policy, I think it was flighted by the PP team. I think the title is secrecy policy. Did you sign any other subsequent secrecy policies in your position?
No, it was that declaration of secrecy.
The PP team flighted a policy on secrecy that categorized the top secret, confidential, which was signed by Advocate Matonsela, I think. I'm asking you, did you sign any subsequent policy similar to that?
Yes,
after
2019. Yeah, 2019. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. Just before you proceed, Advocate Bauer.
Just for purpose of clarification for the member, it was a security policy in 2013 that was signed by Advocate Matonsela. There are two subsequent policies in 2019 and 2021 that are signed by the respective CEOs that exist at the time. I think the earlier policy is also signed by the CEO.
And that was going to be my next question. But let's put it this way. As a custodian of that policy, at least, were you not worried that people who were vetted or not vetted signed the policy? The sub policies, at least.
I do not know, because when that policy and other security policy like ICT policy, information security policy on ICT, which we developed as security management, we always held the view that they will be signed by the PP following what we saw. But now perhaps she delegated that or it was his a direct responsibility to sign.
Okay.
We were concerned, but then he had signed the declaration secrecy, and from the previous job as part of SMS, he once had that top clearance. Thank you.
What are you answering? I'm asking now. Did Mr. Vusi Mahlangu sign that policy?
When it was signed, I was not there, but it is signed by him.
I didn't get that.
When the policy was signed, I was not there. It was signed by him. That's what I noticed.
When you noticed, yes, when you noticed, were you not worried that the person that doesn't have security clearance in the institution is signing a policy that is going to govern the security environment in an institution for which you are responsible? Were you not worried?
My worry would have been insignificant, because upon my return in July, I was subsequently moved from the 1st of August to complaints and stakeholder management.
We lost you there when you say your worry was what? Just repeat that.
My worry will be insignificant, because when I came back, shortly after, within 1 week, I moved to another unit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Nkosi?
No, thanks, Chairperson. That was my last question. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Honorable Becky Zwinkosi. I now recognize Honorable Olomisa. Honorable Olomisa. Honorable Olomisa.
I can hear you. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Chairperson, colleagues, and to our witness, the question I would like to ask is a simple, straightforward one. If the security clearances were conducted under former public protector Thuli Madonsela, do you think
that truly was breaking the law then? If the answer is in the affirmative, do you see anything wrong that your office or any office for that matter in the PP's offices communicated with the SSA personnel, including Fraser himself?
Did you get that, Mr. Neshunzi?
Yes, I'll try to answer.
Go ahead.
I do not think by enforcing security clearance there was any breach or any contravention of the laws of the country. It is the right thing to do. Thank you. And interacting with the state security, I don't think it should be usual because we are talking about the national interest here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Olomisa. Honorable Tlape?
Sorry, Chair. Can I just clarify, did he say he didn't think it was unusual or usual, Mr.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Nishozi, the usual or not usual? Repeat that part.
I said I would not consider it unusual. Therefore, it should be usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Idan. Thank you. Honorable Tlape.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon to the colleagues. Good afternoon, Tate Neshunzi.
Good afternoon, Honorable Member.
I just want to find out from you, in your own thinking, what could have been the real reasons for your removal from security manager position?
I would say, I believe that perhaps those who were entrusted with the authority to account to executive authority develop a trust deficit because they probably, that's my own view, they probably thought I was unable to protect or to expedite the achievement of the desired result, which was a certificate. I think that could be the other reason, which I do not know. Hence, I'm saying, answering your question, it could be that there was a development of trust deficit because of failure to achieve the desired results expected by the incumbent at that time.
Okay, now the training that you attended at SSA, how was it beneficial to the institution?
It had helped in terms of, concretizing the classification model because we needed to come up with a business model that would suit our environment. So in terms of value add, yes, it has helped because we were able to develop a template that the business units, especially the core business of investigation, will be able to identify documents and information and classify that information accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you know about the CIX report?
No, I do not know. When I came, it was ongoing or towards the completion. I do not know, and I did not participate on that investigation, as I was still a security manager.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Chairperson. That will be all from me.
Thank you very much, Honorable Klape. Mr. Neshunzi, all members have asked. I just want you to assist me with just about 3 areas of clarity. They normally cover me, but there are just few areas, and mainly they would relate to some facts. The first one is, who interviewed you for the position of Senior Manager Security?
Okay. Should I answer it immediately?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We'll be quick.
Okay. I was interviewed by the then acting CEO, who has since resigned. That was, I don't want to mention names. And
I do want to know that name.
Oh, it was Reginald Ndo. Reginald
Ndo.
Who was Ndo, yes.
CEO.
Who was acting CEO. I was interviewed by the public protector advocate Usiwe Mkwevane, and the head of HR, Mr. Gumbe Chelela, and a chief director or an acting deputy director general from state security.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's fair. That's enough. 2, here I want you to help persuade me. I remain unpersuaded. You said you got a call from Mr. Arthur Fraser at the end of 2019. Am I correct?
Correct.
That would be a correct date when you got that call at the end of 2019.
I should think so, yeah.
Okay. Let me, do you know at that point what Mr. Arthur Fraser was doing in terms of the work?
When he called me, he was still at the state security. If there is a mistake, it could be a mistake of the either 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, that's why I want you to be very clear and help me. If it's the end of 2019, I want to assist you, because at the end of 2019, Mr. Arthur Fraser was a National Commissioner of Correctional Services.
Okay.
And was not, even at the end of 2018, he was a National Commissioner of Correctional Services. He was not at SSA. So do you want to confirm that you got this call? And basically the point I want to put forward to you, he was not at his previous job of SSA, because in October of that year, he would have come in front of us as a Justice Committee presenting an annual report.
Yeah, you are putting the spanner into the works. I need to check my facts, but that happened. That is a matter of fact. He called me and I went. It could be, the mixing of the period.
So you would agree with me that when he called you, it had nothing to do with his concern being part of the SSA, because he had long left SSA by the end of 2019. He was in the justice cluster, heading correctional services. If he were to speak to you, he were to speak to you as a parolee, because that would have been his job.
I'm not so sure about that. I will have to check my figures, my information. But when he called me, he was still the head of the head of SSA.
So
That
it
I
would not be
can confirm.
correct that he called you at the end of 2019.
Yeah, it could be end of 2018. But you are saying even in 2018 he was not there.
Yes. I'm also saying at the end of 2018 he was at Correctional Services as the National Commissioner.
I will have to confirm that. But it was shortly before he left. But I know for a fact because I drove to state security to Msanda in the evening. So he was still there. I could have mixed up the information or as I related it.
Okay, it could be end of 2017 because you are still there at the end of 2017. Because I just wanted to so that we deal with proper facts and correct facts.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Are you aware of the number of records that are classified that the PP's office typically deals with?
The number of records
that are classified that the public protector's office typically deals with?
Oh, it's quite huge. It's quite huge. It's mountainous, yes.
And I'm not going to ask you to count mountains. I would leave it there.
Okay.
Perhaps the last point, whether you would agree with me, the expression of eyes and ears is colloquially referred to as an informer. Do you agree with me? The expression of eyes and ears is colloquially referred to as an informer. Am I wrong, if that's my understanding?
I think people are entitled to their own interpretation. But when this was crafted, it was not meant to mean that. Yes, it can mislead people. It could have been put differently.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Neshunzi. Do you have? We have now reached the end of our interactions with you. Do you have any final remarks you want to make?
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members, for affording me an opportunity to be part of this exciting, difficult, laborious process. It keeps one on his feet, on his toes, because you do not know what to expect the next time. And your good understanding may not be viewed as a better understanding. It could be the worst thing. But I will appreciate the manner in which this has been conducted, and even the defense team today. I probably escaped the guillotine, and I'm happy for that. And I hope my contribution will enhance the work of the committee. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I wouldn't want you to go to escaping a guillotine, because we're not a guillotine. Even if we are a guillotine, I would not be sure if we have escaped it.
He's talking about me, Chairperson. I think he's talking.
I'm good. Thank you very much, Mr. Neshonzi. I know that there's a temptation about other members wanting to raise hands. I'm not going there now. So I want you to hold back because I want to excuse Mr. Neshonzi unless there's something drastic.
Yes.
So, Honorable Ngola Gondwe and Mashaule.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to place a proposition on record in this proceeding. that if we all recall, there is a consistent question that members have asked, which at some point Mr. Nechunzi was answering here and there, it's fine. But it is the same question, your first question that we have asked, that which is very important. I think I want to propose to the committee that can we allow him to go and collect his facts and his records, then he responds officially to the committee in writing as in respect of that question of whether Mr. Arthur was in correctional services or in the SSA. I just wanted to make that proposition, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mola. Honorable Gondwe.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if you also heard him. He said that he had met Mr. Fraser at the farm. So I'm also curious to know whether he has access to the farm. I mean, to explain how, because I know that to have access to the farm, other story. So I would like clarity on that as well.
Thank you, Honorable Gonde, knowing that there are many farms. So I don't know what farm you refer to. Honorable Masaule.
I don't know.
Please mute, Advocate Mpofu Sianiva, mute.
I'm saying,
Honorable Masaule.
I'm saying, Chair, I am not sure whether I missed the point, but every day here consistently, after members have asked questions to a witness, you invoke a certain rule that allows the evidence leaders to come back and answer. Even if they don't have a question, it must be placed on record that that consistency is there. So I'm pleading with you that let's be consistent, more especially because that issue had been debated whether after the evidence leaders make follow-ups, the team, the legal team of the public protector will come back or not. So it's very important to maintain that consistency.
You ran ahead. You ran ahead. Honorable Matlao. Advocate Bowen, Honorable Mayosi.
We don't have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Chair, in all honesty, how were they going to have questions when you have excused them?
I can go excuse the lab of the performance. Honorable Matlao. Thank you. Mr. Neshunzi?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
I now officially excuse you. Thank you very much for your time, for participating and responding to the questions and the best of your ability. We appreciate. Hopefully it will assist us in our deliberations and whatever conclusions that we have to make. Thank you very much. You are now excused.
Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. With that, before Advocate Mpofu vule inanska yake, the brief announcement will start early tomorrow at 9 with witness Pillay. And with that, the inquiry for today is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, Chair.